your name. Do I have my name right?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I can.
Good evening and welcome to the Budget and Finance Subcommittee meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 16th, 2015. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Present tonight we have Councilor Stella Reyes, who's our new Vice Chair, Councilor Mark LaPlante, a voting member. We also have Council President Modesto Maldonado, who's here as a guest councilor. Councilors, we have document 26715, which is the acceptance of grant amendment for Massachusetts Opioid Abuse Prevention Collaborative. It was placed on the agenda by Mr. Barnes, and this is a grant on the amount of $25,000. Good evening, Mr. Barnes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Can you please give us an overview of this particular grant?
Yes, I'd be happy to. This is an addition to a grant that we received last year through the hard work of the Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition that prepared the grant. The grant was for $550,000 for 5.5 years of work in community planning and outreach. The grant goes through the city of Lawrence, but it also includes collaborative effort with Andover, North Andover, and Methuen, in addition to Lawrence, all organized and managed by Harold Magoon and the Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition, and I'd like to invite him to speak in just a moment. But I wanted to point out that the council has already accepted the grant last year for $550,000. This is an amendment to the grant for an additional $25,000 that's to be used this year for additional outreach to young people within the school systems in Methuen and in Lawrence specifically. So it's going to be added on to the budget for this year, which is a $100,000 budget that the organizations have to provide outreach and strategic planning. With that, with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to invite Harold Magoon to give you a little overview of what they've been doing.
Sure.
The grant is the.
Yeah. Not a problem. Good evening, Mr. Magoon.
Good evening. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. As Jim was mentioning, we've been coordinating the opiate prevention grant for the Merrimack Valley for about the last 6 months. Basically, we've been going through a process that's been devised by the Department of Public Health that basically is a planning session for the last 6 months, looking at all sorts of data, overdose data, death data, surveys, data from schools, looking at different intersects within the communities about where the high-profile issues are. From those issues that we've been able to identify through all that data and those studies, we've been developing strategies. And so I'll be able to come before you with an additional update in the not-too-distant future as our strategic plan is under review by the Department of Public Health. Currently, we do have a logic model that has a series of strategies that are all evidence-based. Everything that we have to do, we have to follow through state guidelines that are evidence-based strategies. Some of the things we've identified are addiction education and training, and in addition to those types of initiatives that we're looking at, this grant before you follows that strategy, working with parents, working with youth about preventing first-time usage. So those different types of strategies through parent forums, guest speakers, different types of information that will be provided both in English and Spanish to different communities. Also be trainings available for school personnel and also other mental health providers to help identify where trends could potentially be showing in a young person's life to in order to prevent that first-time usage. So there's all different types of strategies we'll be coordinating. We'll be doing work with pediatricians and dentists about safe prescribing. One of the first things we'll be doing on September 26th is a drug take-back day that we'll be doing out of the Lawrence Police Department for folks to turn in unused prescription medication. And then one of the additional strategies that's come forward is the creation of a resource guide, so folks can know where the resources are in the communities, where to get information about opiate prevention, where to find appropriate treatment facilities, and coordinate that. We know through a lot of our surveying, there's a lot of disconnects in the provider community. We want to try to bring those folks together and try to get the information out to communities.
Okay. Wonderful. Councilors, are there any questions?
I do.
Councilor Reyes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Magoo.
Good evening.
Couple of questions. You don't have a much funding with this. It's only, this is going to be just a 25 matching fund?
Right, it's an additional 25,000 that's come through the state.
Okay. And this is the first time you received this grant?
On this particular state piece, yes.
Okay. And when you say that you're going to come back in front of us, is
Yes.
when you're going to have all the plans together, so
Yes.
that way you can say, this is when, this is how we're going to start, and from here, we're going to go there.
Right, right.
This
We
is
want to
what
make sure we,
basically-
yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have no more questions.
Okay. Councilor LaPlante.
Just a brief comment. It's come to my attention, mainly through social media and maybe some other outlets, that the city's doing very little when it comes to this addiction and in regards to this problem that we're facing. But it becomes clearer to me as we continue on, and other communities are continuing on, that we're doing things both in the police level and the prevention level. We're trying to attack this opiate problem from a variety of different places, and we're at various degrees of advancement, depending on which programs you're looking at. But it seems to me as though we're struggling, we're trying to find the right pieces, just like Gloucester, just like Brockton, just like you can name almost every other community that's dealing with this throughout the Commonwealth. So I just wanted to publicly state that, because these things come to my attention, and I shake my head, I'm thinking, you don't know what's happening. You need to be more informed, and maybe this is an opportunity for people to know that there are things that are happening. It's not happening as fast as we want, and I'll grant you that. We wish this thing would go away more quickly, but it looks like right now, because of the cheapness of the drugs, that it's a real problem that we need to face it at a variety of different levels. Thanks.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. And then hopefully through the development of our resource guide and our asset mapping, folks will have more of an opportunity to know where those resources are in the community. So that's one of the outcomes we hope to have.
Okay, councilors, any additional questions? Councilor, what's your wish on this item?
Motion to approve and send it with favor recommendation?
Motion has been made and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
McHugh.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Councilors, are there any items, table items that you would like to discuss tonight? Okay,
If there's no, I'll make a motion to adjourn if there's nothing to talk about.
No, I don't have any.
Second.
okay. Motion to adjourn has been made. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you.